speed.
Okay, Speedy Gonzalez. Let's hear what happened. Right. Right. So, you want to tell us what happened? The latest
Okay.
of the Rami witnessing adventures.
Oh, back in the chair.
You and the Lord bench press together?
Yeah. See how nice it is on here?
Well, given your leg, I think you're carrying a lot of crosses.
Okay.
The gash in your leg.
Better sit on the bench.
Okay. And sit on the bench.
Like
Bring
that.
your cat. There's Rusty.
There's Rusty. I said I'd never leave her. So,
You never leave Rusty, huh?
you know, so when she died, I had her stuffed. And always there.
How come she has rabbit fur?
No, it's not rabbit fur. It's a cat fur.
Oh.
It's a cat fur. Meow, 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 meow.
Okay.
He's saying, I love you.
Okay, well, I love you too, it says back. The Lord loves you for being his witness. So tell us your latest adventure.
So, in this park, they had the marathon here. Marathon, it's back and forth. It'd be about 4 or 5 miles, and so they had a big crowd of young people of all ages, but young, up to college age, and they were going to give out trophies and see different events, all the different events. So I came riding by and saw them, and they said they're all events. So I said, well, all events, how about bike events? And they said, no bikes. I said, well, this is a trike event. I says, because for young people. And they said, well, they joked and said, well, how young are you? And I says, well, I'm 1 year old. And he says, well, 1 year old? Well, how do you figure that out? I says, well, I says, when I was 70, I entered my second childhood. After 10 years, I hit 80. That's my third childhood. In 90, I hit my fourth childhood, and I'm 1 year old. So he says, well, he says, you think you can run? Well, you see, I had an injury and all that my tricycle. So he says, well, I can, if it's only speed, but if it's quality over quantity, I can do it. He says, how fast do you go? I says, oh, pretty fast. I says, sometimes the cops have to stop me. And of course, that's downhill. Uphill, it's a lot slower. I'm to get out and push it. I says, but I says, my top speed is pretty good. I says, it's about per hour, 1 mile an hour. I said, sometimes faster. I think I could do the point here, maybe in a half hour. And that's pretty fast because it's 2 miles away from here. That's 4 times as fast. So I says, well, he says, there's no trophies for it, but I suppose you can try. He says, any competition? He says, no, you're the only guy. Then I'm a winner.
You're the only guy.
I'm a winner. And I got no competition. Okay, So we're joking there. And I see this guy's got a nice T-shirt on and all that. And he's got a board and he's checking names and stuff like that. So I figured he's one of the organizers. And yeah, he's got a marathon on it. And it's beautiful, like silky shirt. He says, fine. He says, yeah. He says, you can get one of these. He says, they're $20. Well, he says, I kind of get mine free. So, do I get one if I win the race? He says, well, I'll see what I can do. Which meant no. So anyway, so then I started talking to him, and he says, how many events you got? And I started inquiring about all different events. He's telling me all the different differences, and then they have the what do you call the special races too, and they got all competitions, girl competitions, and all that. I said, well, I hope they're all happy, you know. Do they all get a trophy? Oh no, he says, oh, yeah, well, you know, he says sometimes they give trophies just for entering. You know, he says, no, it's a real competition. Yeah, they got to get a winner. Okay, that's good. So then he's talking about different things, and I start getting friendly with him. And I says, are these all college students? He says, well, yeah, some are, but I'm in business school, he says. I'm in business school. Oh, I says, not monkey business, is it? So he says, no, business school. I says, well, that's good. I says, you know, the business of America is business, so you got a good, you know, a good specialty. And the other guy comes over and he says, well, I'm in education. Oh, I says, that's my field. I'm an educator too, I says, and professor. And I says, what do you prefer, education? Oh, he says, just general right now. Oh, I never heard of general education. I thought there was always something specific. So, well, I says, and do you really educate people that come here? And I start asking my questions and trying to get them answers. And so he says, do you really educate people? Well, he says, or do you indoctrinate people? And I says, that's the first question about education.
Good point.
Good point. He says, well, he says, what's the difference? And he says, well, education comes from two Latin words, educare, to lead out, to lead people into things that are that they don't know and how to apply them. And you're leading them to develop and to fulfillments. And he says, but indoctrinate means you've got something in your head and you decide to put it into their head. And that's called indoctrination. What you have inside of you, you take out and put it into their heads. And he says, well, yeah. He says, that's interesting. I says, today, I says, it's, you know, I'm not exactly illiterate. I did pass kindergarten. I graduated kindergarten. And, but I think a lot of it is indoctrination. That you don't go to learn things that lead you to your goals. In fact, persons are put into the same box that everybody has to learn the same thing. So what the teacher has in the book passes to her or him and goes into the student. And that's how, if they give the right answers that are in the book and that the teacher explains what's in the book, then that's indoctrination. And I says, yeah. And he says, I says, much of, I think, yeah, he says, I think so. A lot of it is that way. But they also teach us to think. I says, you mean to say think for yourself or think by observation? And he says, well, I don't exactly know what you're saying. And then the other guys are beginning to come around because they're having a break or something. Coming around and they're kind of listening. And I said, and some are saying, hey, listen to this guy. And I says, well, there's two things. One is called deduction, another is called induction. Now, this is very philosophical. Did you ever study the philosophers, the big three, Socrates, Plato, and Aristotle? I said, you would get some understanding of that. I says, I taught that. And he says, well, what's the difference? Well, deduction, yeah. You get this thought and that thought, and you connect it together, and you make a judgment on that, and you get a conclusion. And the more you get, that's called like research. You get one object and another object, and you're observing them all, and you see how they connect or disconnect. I said, so that's called deduction. I says, but if you start off with a theory of what your goal is to get, and you have a political angle or an agenda to say you want to prove something, he said, like what? I says, well, like, for instance, evolution. If you come to a conclusion saying things evolved, then you look at everything to see how they evolved. But you're already starting from an agenda, you're not going from a conclusion. You're starting from a doctrine, and then you go to that. And he says, oh, that's not what they do. They go to a conclusion, see objects, and make a theory. No, I says, the theory starts first. And the theory is if you see if the thing is proved or not. Okay? I said, but let's go to back to the point. That's deduction. So if I observe things, then I make a conclusion from the things that I observe, and they have a connection. I see where the connection is, I make a judgment, and I have a conclusion. I says, but if I have a conclusion on something, but it doesn't explain the whole thing, then I use my intelligence, my rational intelligence, to find out if there's something more. And that's called induction. I'm going to beyond what I observe. I'm going now to the rational to see what could be beyond it. And I says, now, to go to that is now you're going really into philosophy. See? You're saying that the human mind is limited, but how could we know if it's limited? How could we know that there's anything beyond the limit? That's very complicated. That's very complicated. Now they're all listening in and start asking me questions, you know? I says,
how big of a group do you have?
I would say about 5 or 6 guys, and girls are kind of listening in. And so I'm going into that. I says, now, because they see my shirt shows Jesus always, but I'm not saying anything about it. I says, and one guy says, like religion? Oh, see, I didn't bring it up. He brought it up.
You got him.
And I've got him now. Like religion? I says, yeah. Well, what do you think about religion? Well, they say, you know, God exists, we don't see him, and he says, and he's beyond, he's beyond up there in the heavens, he's beyond the heavens. So I said, so you're talking now about things beyond your sight. Things beyond your sight, are they beyond reality? Well, we're not sure. Well, tell me something that's beyond, I'll tell you something that's beyond your reality that is beyond your sight. So he says, well, I said, friendship. It's a doctrine. It's a theory that there's such a thing as friendship, a relationship, things that really count. I says, do you ever see a thing called relationship? No. You see people that you relate to. But from them, do you see whether you have good relationship or bad relationship? I got him.
Right.
I got him. So he says, well, yeah, you got all friends here, right? All friends. We get along. Well, why are you friends? Oh, we get along with each other. We have fun together. Is that? And so friends never talk against you, never backstab you, never say you're not good enough. See? So is that something you're observing with your eyes? No, it's an induction. It's an induction. And you deduce it from actual people in your life that were friendly to you, that did good things for you, or did bad things to you. Right? Now we're into philosophy. We're into things that are beyond your sight. And when you look for a friend, you know what you're looking for, but you don't see it. You only see people. You only see people. You have to find out if they fit your induction. Okay? Now, I says, what about God? Oh, God, we don't even see him. I says, do you ever study Socrates? I says, and piece of rope? What's the idea of Socrates? Piece of rope. I said, well, here we go. You know that he began to believe in God because he saw a piece of rope. Yeah, I never heard of that. They go, you never heard of that. See, I got them, but they did her. I says, well, what did a piece of rope show him? Read Socrates or Plato, Aristotle, same thing. He noticed that the piece of rope, he always asked questions and tried to make people go beyond what they saw, his students. Beyond what they saw. What do they see in the piece of rope? They saw a piece of rope there, a beginning and an end. Every piece of rope has a beginning. And does every piece of rope have an end? Well, no, it could go on and on and on. Well, he's had an end, but a piece of rope, how long is a piece of rope? Well, as long as it goes. How far? Indefinite. Does it have an end? Well, somewhere it has. Well, give me a number. A mile? 2 miles? 1,000,000 miles? 1,000,000,000,000 miles? 10 trillion miles? It's got an end somewhere. Okay? But you don't know where it is. That's called indefinite. It's not called infinite. It's called indefinite. Now, so we go here now. Every piece of rope has a beginning. Everything that we see has a beginning. Has a beginning. Look around you. What do you see? See the water? You see a tree? You see animals? You see people? You see rocks? Everything has an age. An age. A scientist will go there, scientific, and he can tell you how old it is. Maybe he can't tell you how old it is. He said, this rock is here. Oh, this is lava rock. Oh, it came from the center of the earth. See, there's always some beginning. They know something about it, where it came from and all that. And yet, they're not observing it. They're finding out what it came from. Okay? Now, if everything has a beginning, how old is the earth? How old is the sun? Give any number you want. 5 billion, 10 billion, and it's going to die out in another 10 billion years? It's going to have an end. What happens to it? Turns into something else. Turns into something else. Now, let's back it up. Where was the beginning? What was one day before that beginning? If the earth had a beginning, has an age, what happened the day before it? Time before it. Now that's the real question. There's a philosophical question. And it's a religious question. The day before it. Then primordial, the guy says, primitive matter, primordial matter, primeval matter. Well, that's a contradiction. That's an oxymoron. If it had existed before it existed, what is the primordial matter? You're talking about another matter that had a beginning. See? So it came to the conclusion that if everything has a beginning, how did it begin? That's your induction now. How and why did it begin? It came from what? There's no matter, there's no primary matter. Where did it come from? It came from, the only thing before that could be nothing. It's called creation. And if anything could come from nothing, it had to be some kind of a being. Someone had to do it. It had to come from some being who was there that we don't see. Now you said you don't see God, right? If He is God and He was there, He must be everywhere. Because matter cannot be bigger than He is. So they're really listening now. So it goes over to other areas too. This guy was saying, education. I says, are you free to say what you want in school? Is there freedom of speech? That ideas that you had, that you brought from outside into that classroom, that you're allowed to say them? This is absolutely. I says, yeah. What if you're a religious person? Can you talk about Jesus? Can you talk about God? Can you talk about virtue? Or do you have to accept what they're telling you you're allowed to speak about? And the guy says, yeah. He says, when I was a kid, I came to school and I had been home taught. I said, great. And I came into school and I mentioned God. And I had a t-shirt that had the word God on it. God loves you. God loves everybody. Teacher says, you can't wear that t-shirt in class. Oh. So there's rules and people are telling you what you can do or not do. And you're not free to do what you want, even if it's not disturbing anybody. Oh, it might disturb them. But what if something disturbs you? Do they make them take their t-shirt off? If they have dirty words on theirs, if they say F you, do they make them take that shirt off? If they say, do what you want to do, as long as it feels good, and it has a sexual connotation, they make you take that t-shirt off? No. See? It's control. Once you get in school, it's control. They begin to tell you to follow the rules. What rules? Human rules. Rules that they make, that they decide. They tell you tolerance. No bullying. You're not allowed to bully. What does bully mean? Bully means someone more powerful than you who controls you and punishes you by banging you or hitting you or whatever so that you toe the line. It's called bullying, right? Who are the bullies in school? You ever have bullying in school? This guy bullied me. I says, what about teachers? And one says, you're right. I felt the teachers are the bullies because the teachers are more powerful than you are. They got all the control and they have the right to punish you. They can expel you. It used to be they could slap your hand. They could, in the old days, they could whip you. But now They can expel you. They can tell you, get out of my class. You're interrupting. You're disturbing the people. You're not disturbing the people, you're disturbing the teacher. Actually, a lot of the kids agree with you. See? So, and that's the whole point. That if you begin to express yourself, you find out that there are people who agree with you. But they're saying, oh, I says, and politically, what did they say? If they don't like what someone politically is saying like that, they say, oh, this is not fair to the American people. So this guy who doesn't like you, who has an agenda of his own, he's speaking for the American people now. Now he's their voice. He's not his voice. But the fact is, when you deal with reality, your voice is only your voice. Your perception is your perception. And if you limit someone else's perception, you are a bully. If he likes it, he's your friend. If you give him your perception, he likes it, he's your friend. Because he agrees with you. That's a question of agreement and disagreement.
What are the guys doing now?
Now they're all listening. Hey, they come. Hey, listen, and they're saying, "Hey, we got this race on, and all that." There's others too. There's the one guy with the shirt with the Buddha, you know. See, I says, his wife was there. Apparently, his wife, because he was an older guy, and she had a cross or an emblem or something on her thing. And so I says, "You're a Christian?" "Yeah, a Christian." I said, "What about your husband?" Right? "Well, he doesn't go to church anymore. He doesn't believe in Christ." He says, "But he believes in Buddha, right?" I asked the guy, "You believe in Buddha? Tell me what you believe." "Well, Buddha was a wise man." "A wise man." I says, "Would you consider a person wise who with all his knowledge had no definition of God, who didn't know if he believed in God or not?" He says, "What do you mean?" I said, "You tell me. You read him, right?" I says, "Now, what is his definition of divinity?" "We're all gods." And he said that, everybody began to laugh, especially his wife. "So you're a god, I'm a god, we're all right, everybody's right, nobody's wrong?" Strange. I said, "You read the newspaper and they tell you, right away they tell you everybody the thing is wrong. You're all right, you're all God, well, we're all part of God. But if God is infinite, he has no parts. He's not a creation, he's a creator."
You're just too logical.
You see? We're part of God. So you're becoming God. We're all pieces of God. See? Yes, that's what Buddha teaches. I said Buddha had no definition of God. He had no definition of where you're going. And he says, "Well, that's not true." I says, "Well, let me tell you then. It's called metempsychosis. That you're not good enough to go to nirvana until you improve with your meditation, with your behavior, with your getting along with people, with your balance, with your collaboration. And in every generation, your soul, or whatever you have, goes into another person. As one dies, as one's breath expands, a baby is born. Your breath goes into that baby." I says, if you don't believe that, talk to the Dalai Lama. He is a reincarnation of previous lamas. That when that lama died and he expelled his soul, it went into some baby. They had to go and look for that baby. Which soul did he go into? They found the Dalai Lama. So you got to get better and better and better. How long does it take to get perfect, to be in nirvana? And nirvana is not God, just the perfection of a being. And since how can a being imperfect become perfect? It's
And
those
what
are-
did he say then?
they're stunned. They're stunned, and the wife is laughing. she probably had arguments with him before. So I says, well, he believed in peace. Yes. And what did he say about the tiger? He says, what tiger? I says, read Buddha. He says, one of his students asked him one time that you have to be peace with all the animals and with everything, not just people. And what if a tiger and his student said, because remember, he was from India, as if a tiger or a Bengal tiger comes after you, and he's hungry and he wants to eat, and he has no food, and he's looking at you, what would you do? What is Buddha's answer? I'll tell you what Buddha's answer is, in case you never read it. He says, at least I'll give him my arm. And the student says, what if he wanted your head? Someone who's aggressive, I said, someone who's aggressive is not satisfied with a piece of you. I says, people who make money, business student here, what? How much do you want to make in business? Unlimited. No matter what. How much do you want to make? $1 billion, $1 trillion? Do you want to be the richest man in the world? There's no limit. It's never enough. When a person is greedy, when a person is a bully, when a person is aggressive, it's never enough. There's no end.
So how did you leave it with the students?
They began to call people away. And we would talk to you again, you know. They were not just students, they were older guys and guys that were graduates.
And I think you said that one guy came back a few times.
He came back, yeah. One that didn't have to, he found out that they didn't need him, so he came back. So, you see? So it just flows. Because clearly they're not learning philosophy, and I was going to come to the point of telling them, oh yeah, one I did, I think I did, but I don't remember it was the ones he says, what do you think about religion? He says, oh, well, you can't, I says, they clump you because religion, the state and the religion, you know, are divided. You cannot have religion. I says, well, everything they're teaching you, indoctrination is religion. All of it is religion. And he says, let's go to the word religion. Re legal. Two Latin words. Re means to repeat, to do things over and over again. Legal comes from the word a rope, a legation, to tie, and to tie over and over again. What does it mean? It means your mind, of course, the Seneca, the philosopher, it means your mind is tied to your actions. Your actions are tied to your mind. So if you see a person's action, you know what he believes. It's a way of life. I says, that's what indoctrination is. That's what they're teaching you in schools. They're teaching you their religion that does not have God in it, that does not have Christ in it. What are they teaching you then? They're teaching you materialism, whatever it is. Even atheism is a religion. It's a way of life. It's ideas that tie you to your actions. So if a person acts in a certain way, you know what he's thinking. If it does not connect, it means he's not really true to his own doctrines.
And what did he say?
Well, they kind of left it in the air, you know, because it doesn't go long enough.
But that's a great seed planted, Ronnie.
Yeah.
God bless you for your witnessing. We're going to listen to another adventure another time.
Okay. A lot
We
of
love you for
every
it.
day.
We love you for it.
Every
Jesus
day.
loves you for it.